Hi everybody, welcome to the first episode of the Basic Stitch Knitting Podcast. I'm Celine, your host, speaking to you from Hong Kong, and I can be found on Ravelry as Archia, Ochya. I'll write everything down below after I uploaded this episode. At the beginning of 2017, I have written down 5 knitting goals on my Ravelry page. Yeah, like the profile page. And I am now going to talk about them. The first one is that I want to knit toys for my friends. And the second one is to teach somebody to knit. The third one is to improve my workmanship. The fourth is to knit sweaters for myself. And the fifth is to learn how to do stranded knitting. I'm going to talk about the first one first. It's toy knitting. I've always wanted to knit toys. I've never knit any toys. And I'm not really like a plush toy, soft toy person. To me, they're collecting dust. I don't know, I make it sound gross. But I want to knit it for friends because it will create an incentive for me to knit toys. And also, I've always wanted to knit something for my friends, but I don't see my friends who I want to knit for all the time. So there are sizing problems, and some of my friends are allergic to wool, and I mainly knit with wool right now. I am thinking about knitting toys for them so that I don't have to deal with sizing, and also I can knit with cotton yarn or acrylic. I'm not sure if I want to knit with acrylic. Nothing bad about it. I don't like acrylic because of the texture. It's just too stiff for me. It's really hard for me, especially when I try to learn something new. I have heard a lot about having premium quality acrylic yarn that is actually very good, soft on the hand, quite springy as well, but I've not come across any of them yet because I live in Hong Kong, and the acrylic yarn in Hong Kong, to be honest, is pretty bad, I think. So that's the first goal. I really want to knit toys for my friends, and I actually have downloaded some parents already. And I think soon Anderson is going to release, what is it called? I saw it on Ravelry yesterday. It's super cute. Oh, it's chicken. It's super cute. But then it will only be released online after the publication version, like the real paper version of it, is out. Maybe 6 months after that. It means I will need to wait for a long time, but it looks so cute, so cute. So I really want to knit that. And the second one is to teach somebody to knit. And more specifically, I want to teach refugees, children to knit. Asylum-seeking children, mainly, because in Hong Kong we don't really take refugee. When people talk about refugee relief, we think about the food, healthcare, and education for the kids, but I think mental health is equally important. And it's not about, a lot of people who flee their country, they have faced very traumatic events which can lead to post-traumatic disorder, PTSD, which is psychiatrically recognizable disorders. So you can always, if the government tries to support them or tries to provide support to them, they can be sent to psychiatrist or psychologist. But there is something that is not recognized medically, but that I think is very important as well, is the mental wellness, not having to deal with boredom all the time, and also feeling confused. I think by being creative, by doing something, not just knitting, but painting, just being creative actually helps a lot to help you feel grounded. You're creating things, expressing yourself. If you don't speak the language, if you come to Hong Kong and you don't speak Cantonese, not English even, expressing yourself through art is a really good method to be grounded. And also, knitting is meditative as well. So I was just thinking it would be really great if I can get in touch with, the refugee kids in Hong Kong and teach them how to knit, or, just gather a group of volunteers to teach them how to knit. So I'm still figuring out how to do it. I have contacted the Refugee Union in Hong Kong. I will need to bear the cost of the events, like paying for children's transportation fee and also their parents' transportation fee, which I don't think is super huge a problem. I do want to regularly donate to a cause I believe in. So if you're in Hong Kong and if you're interested in refugee relief, please get in touch and you can PM me on Ravelry. I'm Ochia. If you're not in Hong Kong but you are passionate about refugee relief as well and you have been doing things similar to this, please get in touch as well and let me know so that I can learn from you. So next up, the third goal is to improve my workmanship, which I think is more about your attitude when you're knitting and you're looking for that perfection, that kind of attitude. And Maria from the Stitched in Sweden podcast is somebody I really look up to when it comes to workmanship. She's always about the fine details, improving the fine details, the cuff, and when she's wearing, she's knitting her bras, it's all about, learning how to do the invisible seaming. I don't know, I don't sew, so not sure, but I watch all those sections even though I don't sew. I watch the bread making section even though I don't make bread. I just love you, Maria. So I've said this on her Instagram already, but I'm going to say it again here. I really, really miss you, Maria. If you're watching, you probably are not, but I really miss you. Please come back. I love, love, love your podcast. Where have you been? But at the same time, I love imperfection. Sometimes when I see something in the market, buying things, it's usually the imperfection that attracts me. I just really love imperfections, and it's something that makes something special, because I can talk about the imperfection. If I knit something and there's some flaw in it, I can talk about it. It's not perfect, it's handmade. So I don't know, maybe I should just cross that out, and just have fun. The fourth goal is to knit sweaters for myself, and I wrote sweaters, so it means more than one, which might be too very ambitious because I've never knit any garment before. And the fifth goal is stranded knitting. I have always been thinking about stranded knitting. No, I lied. I've watched tutorials, but I didn't really have a project in mind that I wanted to cast on until I watched Ellie's podcast, Skeindeer Knits podcast. I really love it. She talks about traditional stranded knitting a lot, mainly like Scandinavian knitting as well as Fair Isle knitting, and she is very, very opinionated about it, and I really like that part, because sometimes people say if you don't have something nice to say, then just don't say it, but I do appreciate very, very honest opinion, and she is one of those very honest person, very well intended, not like trashing things for no reason. Just go and watch her video, because her podcast episodes, because they are just very informative. So let's talk about my finished objects, shall we? So the first object that I have finished recently is a sweater. Yay! So my fourth goal is actually partly fulfilled now, because I wrote sweaters. So this is only one first sweater, but I'm really happy. It is a Flax sweater by Tincanknits. Everybody will immediately recognize it. I knit it in Drops Nepal, Gray Makes 501. It is 65% wool and 35% alpaca. I'm not going to bring it to the front because I know this camera doesn't focus that way. It needs to be manually controlled. But it's fine, I think, for now. I knit it in size XS in the needle suggested by the pattern, and I have used only 9 balls of the yarn. I knit it pretty short because I want it to be short. I have a relatively short torso, so I don't want it to cover my bum or the middle of the bum because it's just not flattering for me. I want it to be right above the bum. So, and also I have heard that alpaca sags a lot, so I was having that in mind, thinking that it will grow in length in time, so maybe I should just start short to allow that space for it to grow. But it hasn't happened yet. It's still short and a little bit too short, especially when I'm wearing my pair of jeans. So I actually have not woven in the end. I still have it here, as well as here, and this is a huge one here. I've worn this out for at least 6 times with everything in, like every end not woven in. I've woven in like the arms part though, like the cuff of the arms. Although it looks a bit too short if I'm pairing it with a pair of jeans, it actually looks really good if I'm wearing dresses or skirts, which is what I normally wear when I go to work. So really good. I can wear it to work and I can tell everybody, like tell others that, oh, by the way, I knit this. And so far the comment I got is that they think it's very well made. It's like apparently handmade but well done. I'm not sure, like I don't know. I know people sometimes like to hear like, oh, that looks like you just bought it off the store because it's so perfect. But I don't really care. Like, I mean, I don't know what to feel when people say it's apparently hand knit, but you know, she said it's well done, so yeah. I love it. I love it. And also one thing I really love about the Flax sweater is because everybody who knits or everybody who's on Ravelry can immediately recognize it's a Flax sweater, like immediately. So if I'm wearing it in the street and if you're on Ravelry, you'll immediately know I'm part of you. So that's like a really good feeling of, you know, being in a community. That's why I really love this one. It's very, very, what do you call it? I don't know. Crispy? I don't know. It feels very warm as well. I love wearing it, and I have worn it for 6 times and I wasn't particularly careful every time I wore it. It doesn't pill. It has no major pilling effect or problem right now, but it sheds a lot. I mean, it sheds a lot when I'm wearing it with my black skirts. It's fine. My dress, it's fine. Maybe with a little bit of wash. I mean, like, I've heard the shedding problem might improve after a few wash, so I'm not really worried about that. And my next finished object, which is the last one in this episode, is a pair of socks that I knit for my boyfriend. It comes like this. It's super, super long. And I actually, you know, this one looks a little bit weird because I actually put the cardboard of the shape of his foot inside this. But maybe I can show it better. I really, really love this. This is Drops Fable sock yarn. I think I have it here, yeah. Drops Fable print, super wash treated sock wool. And it has 25% polyamide and 75% wool. It is the colorway yellow pink. I've written it down. Yellow pink print. I knitted in Eddy 2.5. Is it Eddy Turbo? Eddy, I don't know, the really good Eddy one. Oh, with the red cord, with the red cord. So this is so pretty, and my boyfriend actually chose it himself. I was just showing him because after my batch of wool warehouse wool, like, more than it arrived, I was showing him the yarn I got, and he looked at this. When I showed him this, he was like, "That's so pretty, I want something in that." So, "You sure?" "Yeah." It's unexpected because I thought he would want something in like more muted color. I'm not sure if this is the most muted because he wears his sock to work, so I thought he might want something more muted, but he actually wants this one, so I'm happy to knit this for him. And this is the most beautiful colorway I've ever seen in my life. It has some bubbly pink and bubbly blue. I just made that colorway up, and some light green and cream, light yellow, and some like sunflower-ish yellow. I'm really lacking in terms of vocabulary when it comes to color. Can you tell? Deep blue, light blue, dark green, light green. I really like the color, and it reminds me of my childhood as well, especially the bubbly color, because when I was a kid, I grew up in Malaysia. It is a really hot place, so there is no place for yarn. But I remember I saw this 2 skein of yarn, 2 balls of yarn in the department store. Now that when I think about it, the colors are hideous. It's bubbly pink and bubbly blue. I'm going to show you, or maybe you can, here, it's a lot of it here. Or maybe you can just see it clearer in my Ravelry project page. And I just saw them and I thought they were cute, and I just bought them, or asked my aunt to buy them for me, and I didn't know what to do about them. I just play with them and braid with them, not even knowing how to braid. I don't know where they've been to now. I'm pretty sure they're acrylic, so yeah, it just reminded me of my childhood like that. When I was young, when I know nothing about knitting, and when I was already kind of obsessed with yarn already. Yeah, and I love every bit of this. They're like, I also love the transitional color from one color to another. I've never knit with Drops Fable, and I don't know how well it will hold up to like daily wearing. If you have knit with Drops Fable, please let me know if you think they're durable, because they actually have the most beautiful. I know they are nothing compared to like Opal, which Kay really loves. Kay from Bakery Bears podcast, of course. She really loves Opal. But this is like a really beautiful color. I know it's never gonna be like as sturdy as Opal, but it's pretty. And this is such an achievement for me because I've never knit any socks so huge like this. I knit it from toe up, and I cast on, I believe, 28 stitches using the Judy's Magic cast on, and then I just increase it until it's 76 stitches, and I knit plain stockinette. This is a vanilla sock, and then Fish Lips Kiss Hill, and more stockinettes, and then ribbing, 2x2 ribbing, and I think I used one of those very stretchy bind-off. I will write the details in my project page. But I'm loving it. I'm about to give it to my boyfriend. I'm just keeping it because I want to make sure it's on the video. It's on the episode. I mean the podcast. I knit this pair of socks when I was traveling in Vietnam with my boyfriend. I literally cast it on in the airport when we were waiting for the airplane. And then I didn't actually have a lot of time to knit when I was there because we were spending our days and nights traveling from one place to another and also seeing things. But I do have time, like say for example when I'm waiting for the breakfast to come in the hotel, or when after a long day we went back to the hotel and just chill. I would have time to knit, and it just flew by. I guess it has to do with the beautiful colorway and, you know, stripy nature of the yarn. It's very enjoyable. Now I'd like to move on to my work in progress section. Right after finishing the pair of socks I just mentioned just now, I cast on another one because I love it. I love the colorway. I know I love Drops Fable now, so I immediately cast on. And this time I do like knitting 2 at a time. This is the first time I do this. This is the first time I did this. And I actually learned how to do it by watching Mina, from the Knitting Expat podcast. She has a tutorial on how to do 2 at a time sock, and I was a little bit intimidated before because I was like, how do you do that? Because it's gonna be difficult to, it's a little bit fiddly, is that a real word, to cast on a pair of socks. Like toe up maybe. And how do you do 2 at the same time? So how she does it, if you watch her video, is basically she casts on separately, and then when the casting on part is done, like for her it's the ribbing part, because she cast like cuff down. She knitted cuff down. Once the ribbing is done, she put them together on the same needle. Just watch the tutorial, it's really good. They are like 2 little balls. And now look at that. I love blue, and this is like different shades of blue. I love, 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 love. Some navy, some baby blue, and some like aqua turquoise-ish blue, and more navy, and then this is the bubbly blue I talked about. I really wonder what is this. Like what do you call this? The bubbly blue. I don't know. I really love it. This is gonna be for my brother. And look at that. I did this to my boyfriend. He finds it funny. I was like, what do you think this is? Like, is it a donkey or is it a fox? Because I showed him when it was smaller, and then I showed him again yesterday, and he said it's just a bigger foxy ears. Like, I'm not sure. And when it do like this, it's like puppy ears. Yeah, I'm going to continue to do this until it grows to like a pair of rabbit ears. Yeah, I'm just being silly. I'm loving it. It's like very enjoyable. And next on will be a much larger project that I have cast on forever. I basically cast it on in January, and I have not knit on it every single day, and it is the Campside shawl by Alicia Plummer. I've printed out the pattern. This is how it looks. And I knit it also in a drops yarn because I've never knit with drops before, and I just kind of want to try everything, as it's like so affordable. So if it's like affordable and it's actually really good, I don't know. And I'm quite positive that I'm quite in love with them now. And this is it. It is quite large now. And of course they are like, you know they're gathering here, so it's actually much larger in real life if if it's not on the needle. I have always wanted to knit this shawl since forever, and if I'm not mistaken, I actually was showing you the wrong side. And these are the stitch marker that I use. I have not bought any stitch marker yet, so I always use like yarn. And if you can see, the red part is where I dropped a stitch, and I will come back to you later, not now. And I've made mistake, of course, like I think one side of the holes, eyelets, are actually not stacking up accurately, but I don't really care because it's just a lot of holes. Nobody's gonna be able to notice it. I've been wanting to knit this since forever, since I first watched podcast, which is, I don't know, 1 to 2 years ago. I was watching Molly from the Homespun House, and she had a Campside shawl in mustardy color, and it looks so gorgeous. And I think it, hits the nail on something. I don't know that expression, when she said her husband actually wore her shawl all the time and actually wanted one for himself, which I always like a more unisex garment. And if something is pretty for a girl and it's pretty for a guy as well, it must be quite a good pattern. So I really want to cast it on. And I don't know, like when I knit like to here, this part, I was so engrossed. I loved every bit of it. But then it has grown kind of big, and I have now done I'm now into the first row of chart D. There are 4 charts before the ribbed edging starts. The row has grown really long, and I'm not the biggest fan for really long rows, so... And it's worse when you have made some mistake and you need to count like from 1 to the end. Oh, so it's 136, but wait, have I made a mistake? Maybe I was thinking about something else and I need to count it again. It took a lot of time just to count the stitches. But I'm totally looking forward to finishing this up. I really can't say when, but I really want to finish it up ASAP so that I can add it to the Bakery Bears patron only Phileas Fog Along. Really exciting. They are the Bakery Bears, Kay and Dan Jones, are holding a KAL Cal. The idea, I'm not entirely sure, but the main idea is that there are 2 teams, and one is the runner team and another is like the knitting team. You can be in both teams, and for the runner team you will run and then have like some recording system and about how long you have run, and then you will tell Dan, and then he will calculate how long everybody has run together at the end of the month. And for the knitting group, there is a list, like if you're knitting a bigger garment, it might be count as 50 miles. If you're knitting like a pair of socks, it might be count as 10 miles. I'm just making it up. And at the end of the day, you post it on the FO thread with the number of miles you have knit, not exactly like what you have exactly actually factually knit. At the end of the month, Kay will calculate it, and there will be a competition between the knitting group and the running group. And so far, I think the knitting group is actually doing better than the running group, and before that, running group is actually doing better. So it's exciting. And I want to add this to contribute to the knitting group. I have added my Flax sweater in already, and I had forgotten to add this, so okay, don't worry, there will be like one extra pair of socks to the knitting group, which is not a lot, I understand, but shawl will be quite a lot of miles. So, and I've not actually said, I'm such a bad podcaster. I knitted with Jobs Puna. It's 100% pure alpaca. It looks so beautiful. There are so many words to describe, like, a ball of wool, a ball of yarn, a skein of yarn, a hank of yarn. I call this a pebble of yarn. Look at it, so beautiful. So, beautiful. I don't know if there's any other word I can use to... I don't know, it's so beautiful, I just want to stack them up. Like how people Zen stack stones together, or Zen stack anything together. So yeah, I'm sorry. So that's all of the whips I have. And I forgot to say, when I showed this to my brother, he's like, oh my god, Celine, you're so advanced now, you know how to knit holes. Yeah, holes are very advanced to non-knitter. And so for all those beginners who are knitting your first garter stitch scarves that is never going to end, don't feel put down by the holes. You're just doing a yarn over. You're actually being advanced. I wish somebody told me that I was doing yarn over when I was knitting my first garter stitch scarf. There are a lot of holes in there, and then it just grows like wider and wider, broader and broader without knowing why. I just felt very disheartened. I just hope somebody could travel back and tell me, Celine, it's just yarn over. Put the yarn at the back when you knit, and if you put the yarn in the front when you knit, it's going to create a hole, which is actually a design feature, which is super cool. But if you don't want it, then put the yarn at the back. Yeah. And next up, I like to talk about my dream knitting. I have downloaded Selbu Mittens, designed by Ali from the Skeindeer knits. I have been wanting to knit this for a long time. This is a pattern. I want to be careful not to show the pattern because this is a paid for pattern by Ali from the Skeindeer knits. I love her podcast. And this is her pattern called Selbu Mittens, which is the type of mittens that are knit in Selbu in Norway. And she's having a knit along, but I'm not sure if I can join her because in the last episode she said she's going to close it by the end of March, but I'm still waiting for my yarn to come. Living in Hong Kong, I rely on Darramores and Woolwear House I'm just going to hold it up as an advertisement for her. I don't know, I don't think she needs it because she's super popular, but I will just put it here. And I have been waiting for the yarn that I've purchased for this pair of mittens as well as other projects. So once the yarn has arrived, I'll just cast this on right away because I've never knit a pair of mittens. I've never done stranded knitting. I'm not sure if I'm covering my mouth, and I'm not sure if the camera can actually pick up the sound, but I hope it does. It will be quite challenging for me, but Ellie is very approachable and reachable, and I've asked her questions on Ravelry, PMing her, and every time she just replied to me so timely and also in details. Such a nice person. We don't actually know each other as friends, but I am now treating her as my friend already. Ellie, will you be my friend? Yeah. So excited. And also she's also going to hold another cal, I don't know when, but maybe a few months later, a sweater cal, which is perfect for me. It's going to be a Marius pattern sweater cal, which is another traditional Norwegian pattern. And she just, thank you Ellie for letting us know about your plan, because for people like me who are always waiting for a yarn to come, I really need to be able to buy the yarn before the cal actually starts, because I'm not even a speedy knitter, so I need the time. So thank you for posting it in your Ravelry group and also talking a bit about it as a heads up to all other potential participants. And if you're interested, please head to her Ravelry group for more details and also watch her YouTube podcast. She is Skeindeer Knits on YouTube. So I think this podcast is probably going to be a little bit too long. I plan it to be quite short because this is the first episode and I don't want to keep people here forever. But I am naturally quite a talkative person with people I actually know. And I really like to talk about knitting, and that is the main reason why I'm having this podcast. Nobody around me knits, so they're not actually very, very interested in listening to me rambling. I mean, they're polite and they're nice, but then I don't want to talk about the detailed part, the technical part of knitting when they don't know or are not interested about it. I talk about knitting with my boyfriend predominantly. He's really nice to me. He's like the best boyfriend in the world, and he listens to me, and he actually told me he liked to listen to me talking about knitting. But I'm like, I really want to talk about to a lot of other people who actually are interested in knitting as well. So I really like to knit, and coming from Hong Kong where not everybody knits and you don't really see people knitting in public, and then the yarn stores are not particularly exciting. I really just want to join this community, the international community of a lot of knitters. So I hope you enjoy my first episode, and I'm not sure if I've said that. If you are here watching it, and even crazier, like you're here and you actually enjoy it, like it, maybe you can give me a sign, click the like button, comment, subscribe. Thank you, and I'll see you again maybe 2 weeks later. Bye bye.